Oh, figures. I go live when I'm trying to plug in. So it's live. The enormous UFO Super Source Show number 24. I'm doing this on the 3rd of December, 2016, and Jeff is here with you. Matt is missing because he has a toothache. His wisdom tooth is kind of falling apart on him. And I would know this because I saw him on Monday, and I'll discuss that as we go. As I go, I keep saying we, and there's only me here. But let me, because I'm kind of half laying on my sofa, and now my stuff's falling down. But I feel like I'm doing plural, but I'm gonna talk today about what happened earlier this week and what's coming tonight. It's gonna snow. There's gonna be accumulating snow here, and I'm not happy because I didn't get my leaves burned, so now they're gonna get snowed on. I have to shovel my own driveway, which I guess this is what you get for having a house now. I have to shovel driveways now. And before I didn't have to do that because I lived in an apartment building and it did it for me. But we're expecting a couple inches. Oh, excuse me, I'm all tired. We're expecting a couple inches of snow. And that usually means, as I mentioned on Twitter earlier, that usually means crashes, accidents, people flying off the road, because when we get our first snow, people drive like crazy people, and they're like, oh my God, this snow business, what is this? Because people have forgotten how to drive in snow, even though the last snow was 9 months ago or so. They're like, oh my God, it's like some fantasy. We haven't seen this in 6 years or something. But so that's coming up later tonight and into Sunday. But when I discussed earlier with Matt about Matt's wisdom tooth, because I saw him on Monday. Now I'm talking about snow, and oh my gosh, Monday we had a little tornado outbreak. This was back on the 28th of November. There was a cold core set up. There was quite a bit of severe weather was forecast. Down in the Gulf Coast, and I mentioned that last week. Well, that occurred. Well, we had the low pressure was up here, and there was just enough forcing and a lot of a spin in the atmosphere that a few thunderstorms, very low top thunderstorms, formed, and they started producing tornadoes. And they were all, I believe, we had 4 that I know of that were confirmed. There may have been more. All were EF zeros. They lasted maybe a few minutes or less, but several of them were. Oh, excuse me, jeez, this is what I get. Some of them were fairly close to some towns in central Iowa. And Matt and I went chasing on Monday and got absolutely nothing, because we looked the models and did the Mike Morgan drive south thing and drove almost to the Missouri border and saw nothing, because the models showed maybe the better instability would help to make the storms maybe a little stronger further south. Well, we were on a storm. It did become tornado warned. Unfortunately, it became tornado warned right at sunset, and the minute that sun went down, the storm died. There was a brief funnel cloud with it. It didn't last long, and then the storm just died out, and all the storms in southern Iowa died out. The ones further north lasted a little longer, but I thought Matt was going to throw me out of the car and kill me or something because we drove so far south and when we shouldn't, because I had thought first off drive west, and so that kind of just was really bad. But that's what happened on Monday, and he was kind of iffy about his wisdom tooth at that time. So that's why he's not on tonight. He's expecting to have it out on Monday. Yeah, right. I'm hoping he's going to have it done at oral surgery, because I had my wisdom teeth taken out at the oral surgeons many years ago. So, and he's going to be pretty much out like a light for probably about another day or two after that. So he'll be he'll be kind of, God, I am so tired. I might have to, it's not like the weather's tiring, but so we'll see if he'll be on next week when we talk later into December. Now, besides Monday's little event, which did have some tornadoes, and unfortunately there were some fatalities with those tornadoes in Alabama, and I think there was a fatality in Tennessee. And they were in northeast Alabama in Jackson County near the town of Ider. I believe that's where the tornado that killed people in Alabama was the one in Jackson County near Ider. And that's in northeast Alabama. This would be north, where it'd be east of Huntsville, up in the southern Appalachians. So, but that's not the only excitement that occurred in the Appalachians this past week. Unfortunately, the drought reared its ugly head this week when there was a really bad forest fire that engulfed the tourist town of Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and up through Pigeon Forge. Those that would know, that is very has a lot of hotels. I've never been there, but it's very picturesque from what I've seen from pictures beforehand. Anybody would know Dollywood, Dolly Parton's amusement park is in that area. Some of the cabins at Dollywood were damaged. The park, from what I gathered, was not damaged. Several businesses were destroyed or damaged. Several hotels were damaged or destroyed. Quite a number of the businesses survived or were standing but damaged. But it was very heart-wrenching. I think the death toll from the fires is from the last I checked, was 10. And it reminded me so much of fires you see in like California or in the Rockies especially, because the fire moved so quickly. It formed its own weather, and the wind was blowing really strong because it happened to occur the day before the severe weather. Or no, wait. It occurred the day before the severe weather hit down there. So you get strong winds, and the fire had started on south of Gatlinburg. Oh, sorry, I keep yawning. It's not like this is tiring. And it raced into into Gatlinburg and then toward Pigeon Forge. So it was fairly heart-wrenching to see a lot of the Twitter pictures, videos that were coming out of people escaping from the thing. It was kind of a little bit eerie. Some of the escapes reminded me of the Fort McMurray fire from earlier this year up in Alberta, where you had people driving with flames on either side of them, driving down the road, and the same thing it seemed like happened in Gatlinburg. And so, and people were driving on the roads, and cars would start on fire in this, which happened. So there's been several ways to help out the people that were affected by that. I know there's been a couple of telethons. I know in Knoxville and Nashville have been doing some stuff with that. So that was one thing that occurred that was really devastating. A lot of the drought, though, has started to ease a little bit, but it's going to take a long time. It's not just like that and it's eased. Quite a bit of rain is falling, and tonight is even falling again in states like Alabama and Mississippi is raining again, and into Tennessee. So they are starting to get the weather pattern come their way where they're going to get more precipitation. So it's going to probably take a fairly decent wet winter for them to get back close to normal, where they would get the reservoirs, the lakes, everything back up and running. So we'll see what goes what happens there. Otherwise, here there's the chance of snow, as I mentioned, tonight and into Sunday. And then there was this event earlier this week. Somebody, I don't know who. This is what I did. That somebody posted that Iowa was going to get 2 to 3 feet of snow midweek, this coming week. I thought, how dumb are people to think that's going to happen when 2 to 3 feet of snow from one storm has never happened. There's been a few times when we had snow amounts from one storm up to 20 inches, but 24 to 36 or more is outrageous and stupid and dumb and is ridiculous. The funny thing is, because I saw some tweets earlier today, that storm that these people predicted was going to be a monster blizzard and winter storm, there's not one flake of snow now. Not one, or very few flakes now. I'd have to go and look. I think there is still a chance on the forecast. So I'm right now going to quickly look to make sure. But the chances of snow, and I know one person on Twitter, a meteorologist in Nebraska, Rusty Dawkins, I'll just mention him. I tried to get him on our Polygon program. Of course, he couldn't do it, but I see his tweets. He tweeted that there was this big storm, the models were so bad with that midweek storm. Then there was this storm that came now, because right now he's in Lincoln, Nebraska, and he has 2 inches of snow on the ground. And this storm wasn't seen on the models until yesterday. So, of course, the snow that's coming tonight has only been seen on models for the last 2 days or so. So it shows that the models are a little bit, it's kind of in a transition period between fall and winter. Models tend to have to get their act together with winter patterns and whatnot. So a lot of things are going to be a little bit helter-skelter probably from now till the end of the year, until we get into a typical winter pattern where we have snow on the ground, the temperatures are colder, the pattern finally has itself adjusted and whatnot. So we'll see with that. But first things first, I'm now looking at the model run, because I'm looking at this. I'm not going to show it, because all it's going to do is just cause confusion and craziness, unless there's some significance. I will show this part though. So let me go to this. Wait a minute. I'll show this, because this is showing this snowfall that's occurring right now, that's going to occur tonight. And let me, in fact, take it off the continental U.S., because I'll take it off that. So let me take it off of that into the Midwest. Okay. This is what I get for trying to do this when I do a show by myself. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. You can see this. This is the 18Z GFS. This is the latest model run that has come out. And this is the snow that's coming in. And I'll take it through about noon. No, here's 3 p.m. Sunday. You can see there's a swath of snow coming up. And then there's a batch of snow here. There is a winter weather advisory in effect in northeastern and eastern Iowa, which, of course, I'm in. Of course, I'm in about this area right here. So it looks like about 2 to 3 inches of snow, maybe a little more. There's some that have indicated maybe 4. It's been about up and down. So this is what the model's been saying. But what the thing I need to, and this is on the Kuchera method, so this is roughly about what it should be based on the snow ratio, because the snow ratio is never 10 to 1. But this is what everybody was talking about, and I'm going to bring it up. That's the snow. Now here is the 24-hour snowfall total ending at midnight Thursday. So this would be the entire day of Wednesday. Do you see a big heavy snow event? Neither do I. I see a swath of maybe a dusting to an inch of snow in quite a bit of down here in Missouri. There's a little bit heavier snow, maybe a few inches back here in northern Kansas, southern Nebraska, and down here around Green Country, the northeastern part of Oklahoma into southwestern Missouri. But I don't see anything here. So that's why you can't really trust models way out that far. I mean, who's to say it could come back? I don't know. I mean, I could keep looking, and there's a snowstorm, and that's in about that's next weekend. Is that going to happen? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. There's another storm. There's another storm. There's another storm. I mean, the amounts don't mean much, but it's more of the case that the models are indicating that the pattern is going to get more active. I think looking at totals like this is just like saying, oh my gosh, we're going to have all this snow. Not necessarily. It's more of a case that the suggestion is there that there's going to be snow. The amounts mean nothing. Honestly, amounts mean nothing. That's why when you hear weather people, meteorologists on television say that there's a snowstorm coming. Let's say, for example, we'll do an example. It's Monday, the work week. Everybody's going back to work going, oh, it's another work week. Meteorologist, we'll call him Joe Blow. It's like Joe Blow says, there's a snowstorm coming on Friday. We don't know quite the details, but it could be significant. Now, how many people are immediately going to say, well, how much snow am I going to get? And then everybody starts in because Joe Blow doesn't know. He knows the snow is coming. He sees the amounts, but he's not sure, but he thinks it's significant. The Weather Service doesn't say anything because the Weather Service doesn't issue winter storm watches 5 days or 4 days out. They issue them typically about 2 to 2.5 days out. And even then, they give you a guesstimate of inches, and they refine it. That's why they either upgrade to an advisory, which most people would think a watch to an advisory doesn't mean an upgrade, but technically it is. If they're like, okay, you're under a winter weather advisory, you're under a winter storm warning, and you're under a blizzard warning or whatever, because you're not going to know something like this possibly until they can refine, because not every model is going to show 1.8 inches here, even though this 1.8 and this 3.2 looks kind of strange. It's just how the models are indicative to the snowfall amounts. I mean, right now I could take out the GFS and put in the HRRR, which is a convection model, but it also will give you snow. And right now I'm going to see if I can bring that up. Let me see if this is the 23Z. So this is the fresh one. And you can see here, as you can see here, it shows, it has the same general feeling as the GFS, but of course this is a more condensed, a better model for short term. It's a short term model. So you can see it shows where the heaviest snow could be right in this area. Does that mean the amounts are going to be right? At this point, it's in the ballpark. That's why you'd have to say like 2 to 4 inches or whatnot, isolated heavier totals, and then maybe like 1 to 2 in this area, something like that. And that's how it is. I mean, you're not going to expect somebody to say 4 days out, we're going to get X amount of snow. That's all well and fine. The models are not as good as this. This is only an 18-hour model. You're not going to get models that are this precise within an inch or so 5 days out. I mean, the NAM 4 kilometer only goes out about 2.5 days. I mean, with the stuff that's coming out now with GOES 16, which is formerly known as GOES-R, it's now known GOES 16. With that, that coming out, the the Senate just passed the forecasting bill. So then more money is going to be put into doing these forecasts. We can have models that are a lot better, so we can pinpoint stuff a lot faster. So people don't ask these questions like, how much snow am I going to get at X or Y or Z or whatever, that maybe we can get models that are going to be better. Because honestly, and everybody in the meteorological field, I'll get it out, has known that the GFS has sucked for many years against the euro, mainly because the euro is always way ahead, and when the GFS kind of starts to catch up, the euro pulls ahead even further. The interesting thing is, because the euro, you have to pay to see that. I mean, you'll get limited stuff with the euro for free, but getting anything else with the euro, you have to pay for, because they use the money to enhance the model. The GFS and any of these other models are free for public domain because it's government. So outside of any WRF models that are done by universities or whatnot, it's kind of a bit here and there about this. But maybe in the future we'll be able to say on a Monday that so-and-so may get X amount of snow. I mean, it's not going to be down to the pinpoint of 4.23658 inches of snow. I mean, between 4 and 6, maybe in a couple of days' time, but it's not now. I mean, there's still people that are asking TV meteorologists what the weather's going to be like in June, like now. All you can pretty much say is it's likely going to be warm, and there might be a chance of thunderstorms. I mean, it could be sunny and hot. It could be cool and dry. And it could be raining. It could be storming. There could be a severe weather outbreak. You never know. I mean, you could put all that up and you'll be right, unless something else happens. But so we'll see what happens with not with this snowstorm, because this snowstorm is going to bring snow. So. But the weather pattern is looking to be more active across the area, because I can bring back I'll bring back the GFS just for benefit, and I'm going to bring it back to the continental United States, because I'm going to show. Let me make sure I don't want Mexico. And I don't want the snow now, because now I want precipitation. Here we go. I think I did 48-hour precip, didn't I? Yep, I did. Let me fix it. My boy. Okay. But as you can see, even from that, this is what everybody's going to be watching for. And let me do it over the next 5 days. So let me go out to right here. Oops. This is what everybody wants to see down here. That is a lot of precipitation, and I can bring up the thing. Bring it up. That's about 2 to 3 inches of rain in Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. Up here where Gatlinburg is, they might get 1.5 inches or so. This is what they need a lot of. The problem is, and I've mentioned it on previous shows, that if you get too much rain too quickly, it just runs off and you have flash flooding. And that's what happened earlier this week. They had so much rain, it was just flooded. It just ran off. It would run off because the ground's so hard. You need a nice soaking rain. They are getting that tonight. But if I keep going, I take it through the end of the model. Now, of course, is this going to happen? Is there going to be 4 to 6 inches? It's questionable. Does that mean there's probably going to be more rain coming down there? Probably. But something like this, you really have to take it with a grain of salt. I mean, back to the 5 days, at least it's giving you a hint. And this is kind of indicating to you that, or indicating to anybody that there's going to be like stuff going on. So that's what's going on with that. So outside that, tropical season has ended. We'll see if there's going to be any out of season storms. I think for most people, I think they're sick of tropical weather at this point, because now they're more concerned about naming winter storms and the like. So, and I don't think this storm got named because evidently we're not important. So, outside of all that going on, nothing much else has gone on. Outside of Matt complaining that he still doesn't have his car license plates as of when I was seeing him on Monday. Whether or not he has them now, I might go ahead and ask him, just seeing if he's, because he might have gone to taking a nap or whatever. So I will send him a message to ask him if he got his plates, because he was still mad about that. I'm sure he's not too thrilled about me talking about that or whatever, but let me make sure. Let me see if Matt's going to respond to that, because he's really kind of hurting right now. But anyway, so I'm going to have to, I had to rake my leaves because I was going to burn them. And I mentioned this on Twitter. I was going to burn my leaves because I can, as long as they're not in the street, because you can't do that. But unfortunately, they're wet. So, because I had to move my front yard leaves to the backyard, which I did. So they're now gone. They're now in half in my driveway and half in the plants that the previous owner of my house had, which I'm going to burn because I don't like them. But anyway, so that's what's going on with that. I don't think I'm going to get anything from Matt, because I bet Matt's probably gone to sleep and whatnot. But hopefully it's going to be, it is shocking that this is what's really creepy, that it seems like time is really flying by, that Christmas is 3 weeks from tomorrow, which it's almost like, oh my gosh, Christmas already. And it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Well, it started doing that in September. So you see Christmas stuff in stores in September, and it's like 80 degrees outside. And even a few weeks ago, it was still 70. But it'll be like, oh, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. So we'll go on from that and whatnot. But outside of that, the firing thing, I did that, the builds, this, that. There might be something that I've probably completely forgotten about. Hopefully I've stayed on, because I'm actually seeing if Matt's going to respond to me or not. But outside anything of significance, I think that'll do it for this show. It is shorter than normal, because typically when Matt's ill or sick or having toothaches, that I typically run out of stuff to talk about, or I ramble through them too quickly. But anyway, that's the show for this week. Be back next week, where we'll probably have nothing to talk about. And I said that last week, and what happened? We had everything happening. So be back next week, and have a safe rest of the weekend and the week ahead. And bye-bye.